Pulling up to Calimer Transmissions now, and I got there's still some funny with this. I mean, it cracks me up what this place used to be and the significance of what it has to Ben, the owner of it. So I'll park out back here where Ben told me to go. And of course, first thing we're gonna see is a Dark Horse Mustang. Of course, that is the first thing we are going to see. Pull around here, and I'll park right behind it there. And look at that, Mr. MT82. I love that. Got the big Calimer sign there, so let's walk inside. All right, guys, so saw the outside there a little bit. I've walked in now, and I've got Ben here. I'm gonna flip this around. We're gonna kind of talk about his shop here, which is, I haven't been here in years. It is quite big, and it just, we'll go through all the details. So let me flip this over to Ben. All right, guys, so look at that Mustang in the background. Ben, hey, thank you again, man. I really appreciate this. So we're gonna get right into the meat and potatoes. How did Calimer Transmissions begin? How did this all start? Where did this become?
2013 or so, I got my 2012 Mustang I bought used. And I think I had 5,000 miles on, I think, when I bought it. And I think by 7,000 miles or so, the transmission, I lost a 5th gear synchro.
Oh boy.
Didn't have a whole lot of money back then, worked a regular job and that kind of deal, and ended up trying to figure out, nobody had really messed with these transmissions a whole lot yet. Some people were starting to try to do some things for them, but there wasn't much out there for them.
Sure.
So went ahead and started messing with trans out of that car. We made some drawn shift pads for them back in the day that, there was only a couple people that were really trying to make them, and they were kind of crude. And I bought some transmission cores from people that had been broken and started just tinkering with them basically on the side. And once people heard Facebook, that I was messing with these things, and I put a couple of them up for sale and sold them, people started sending me their transmissions.
Sure.
So it went from 1 to 2 transmissions a month, just on the side for extra cash, to creating a mountain of transmissions sitting in my old shop, whereas I actually physically worked in this building when I was building transmissions on the side.
And that's what I kind of want to get to, because I kind of talked about before in one of my older videos about this and how I think this is just cool in general, but like, I mean, if you want to get into what this was before, and what you were doing here, and now the fact you own it, and that was a short span of time when you left, and the whole, leaving a pretty much stable job for the most part.
Oh yeah. So this used to be the local newspaper. I started here as a graphic artist. That's what I actually got a college degree for that. Not that anybody uses them, but anyways, and then I worked up to being the printing press foreman. So when I left here, I was press foreman. That was in 2015, and the newspaper at that time, my hours were 5 a.m. till noon, and that made it very easy for me to, after work, go home and build transmissions on the side. Well, as things changed, the economy and all that, they decided that they were going to start printing the paper at night, and I said, well, I physically can't do that. I'm already making more doing this on the side than what I am here, so I'm going to have to leave.
Yeah.
So at that point, I had like 30 customer transmissions in the shop to build, so I knew I had work, and that if anything happened, it happened, but we'd see how it went.
Yeah.
So, and that's how.
I mean, it's crazy. I feel like it was like a light switch too, because I mean, you're working pretty much out of that shop out of the back of your house there. Like, I mean, but there was always a billion cars. You're always testing new cars.
Right.
Because that's something like, yes, we know about the Mustangs, but you pretty much have bought a car and like, all right, let's try this transmission. I mean, let's kind of go down the rundown here. I mean, obviously, the Mustang is your bread and butter, right? There's no denying that. Yeah. But what else do you work on? What other transmissions do you work on?
So we do GM 6060s, T56s, Dodge 6060s, so Hellcats, Corvettes, Camaros, anything of that kind of nature, plus the Mustangs, GT500s, all that kind of stuff.
And we need to also talk about the fact that if you guys can see it, there's CNCs here also. They have their build room. Again, we can go over all that. But you guys don't just, I want to put it in the way that you guys don't just rebuild transmissions. You also make a ton of parts. And I'd like to go over that, whatever we can show or go over, because I want people to understand this isn't just a fly-by-night. Like, you make some of the nicest parts, if not. And some guys are going to be on here like, everyone knows who Calimer is, and Calimer is in the Mustang world. But for us super guys and stuff, and again, talking about some of the parts you make, I want everyone to see, like, wow, this is not just some fly-by-night. This is not just some small shop. This is worldwide known, or at least in the United States, known everywhere.
Yeah,
so
we ship worldwide for transmissions.
And that's crazy.
So, but yeah, I can definitely show you some of the stuff that we make around here.
All right, Ben. So what do we have here? What are we looking at?
So these are our shift weight deletes for the D4 2018 and up Mustang transmissions. So basically, they come with a big janky weight. You want me to get a weight? Let me get a weight.
Sure. All right, so again, we're looking at the sea of transmissions here, but this is the part we're talking about then? So just to go a little bit, again, I don't know much about these transmissions, but I can see this is a cast piece here, and what we have now
so this is a billet aluminum cover with a ring that goes over that. What happens most of the time is the shift weights will actually delete themselves going down the road. So as you can see, the roll pin in there is sheared off. Okay. And the weight falls out and goes banging around underneath your car.
So I assume that that's supposed to, again, help with the shifting, make it smoother.
The reason that it's on there, Ford claims, is to enhance the shift feel. And that's fine in a stock transmission, but when we do our billet steel shift works, then you have a much heavier shift work in there, and there's no need for a weight like this. And then we'll show you the forks then too.
And are these all just customer, or these are just extra transmissions?
These are cores over here, so they'll be built at some point when somebody orders it.
That to me is insane that these are just all cores ready to go. Are these all empty? I mean, they all look the same. They're all MT82s?
All 18 to 23.
So there is a difference then between those, between the earlier versions, because they came out, what, 2011?
Yes, 2011. So what we consider a D5, we consider those D4s.
Okay.
These would be considered like a D5. So the designation is that these transmissions in 11 to 17, fifth gear is 1-to-1.
Okay.
In 18 to 24, their fourth gear is 1-to-1.
So like a T56 or a 6060.
So you got double overdrives in 18 and up, and single overdrive in 11 to 17.
Is one preferred over the other, or?
I mean, our most popular seller is still the 11 to 17 transmissions. Okay. So the 18 and ups, I'm figuring a lot of them still under warranty and stuff like that. We do fix a lot of them, but we don't do as many as the others. Again,
as the newer stuff comes out now, I guess with the new Mustang having a 6060 in it now, correct?
No. No. So the Dark Horse comes with the Tremec 3160.
Okay.
And then the GT comes with the MT82 D4.
Okay, so it's still...
And it is a little bit different in 24 then too, the MT82 D4.
Okay.
So they changed the starter in 24. So the starter mounting location on the bell housing is physically different than the 18 to 23 models.
It's for better, worse, I mean...
It's easier to get the starter in and out.
Okay, well, hey, that's better then. I look at that as a better.
Yeah, you don't have to fool with that top tricky starter bolt that they all have. So, yeah, that is one thing that they changed. So, and then the clutch is also different in 24. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing I wanted to say, like you said, we talked about some of those cars. If someone said, like, hey, I have a T56 Magnum, I need to rebuild, is that something you would handle? If someone shipped it out to you?
Absolutely.
Can we go over some of the parts that you would, what would be like a transmission, what would look like a basic overhaul, or something that you could say, like, here's what we consider. I don't even know if you guys talk stages, or you would talk like, we're talking carbon synchros, we're talking different shift forks. Do you have something here we could look at to see what that might be?
Yeah, let me see if I can find something here to...
Guys, excuse it, but you got the tumblers here. I guess that's what you use to polish then? Yeah. So what is this?
These are our billet shift forks for the T56 Magnums or TR6060. So your 3/4s and your 1/2s.
Now, do you see issues with those then, or is that a problem you've seen?
What it does is it eliminates the need for a shift pad. Okay. So a lot of the failures that you see, either with the factory Teflon shift pads or the bronze upgrade shift pads, is they'll crack. Okay. So repetitive abuse, they break. Our shift forks don't have actual shift pads. It's actually part of the fork. And you might think it's funny that you run steel on steel, but it's been done forever.
And it works so well?
Yeah. So the oil film between these parts, you really don't see anything.
And that was my next question, because obviously that's supposed to act like wear. Any type of shim or any type of bearing
that's what we make for those.
And these are just polished gear sets then?
Polished gear sets. For T56s, we would polish them the same. So we do all of our own micro polishing in-house.
Now, do you use factory gear sets? Is there a need to go to an aftermarket gear set, or is what you see here all factory?
This is a lot of MT82 stuff here. These are D5 parts here. These are stage 3, D4, third gears.
Okay.
This is D4 main shafts. That's 3160 stuff down there. You know, it's just polish a lot of stuff.
Okay.
It's nice to be able to do it in-house versus shipping
It out somewhere?
Right, exactly.
Makes perfect sense. All right, so that's the first operation out just after the first milling happens, right? And that's what they look like until they go to their second. Now, how many stages do you have to go through to get to this point? There's 3 stages?
Yep, 3 stages to make a finished fork. Yep. Takes about 2.5 hours a piece to make a part start to finish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's some serious time.
steel is a lot harder than cutting aluminum.
Yeah, and
So.
for me coming from that industry,
Yeah.
I need people to understand, because they see someone like, whoa, I got XYZ, or they can use a cheaper machine. You have no idea how much harder it is on your spindle when you're cutting steel.
You gotta have a heavy machine too.
Oh, yeah, you have to have it.
Yeah, I mean, you hear it in here. When they're running full speed and making steel, both are cutting steel forks, it's pretty loud in here.
And these are both coolant through, I assume, then?
This one is, that one's not.
Okay, and that makes a big difference too in your tool life also.
Yeah,
People don't understand how expensive that gets, which, whew, that adds up very, very fast.
It's a $300,000 machine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people don't understand that it takes a lot to make a lot. So.
Yep, for sure.
But anyway, so this is our MT82 D4 forks. So this is the factory 1-2 cast aluminum fork.
And this is just pressed in almost?
It's like cast around it. It's really tight in there. I mean, you can bust them out, but that's what it is, and it's super light. I don't know if you want to feel it or not.
Oh my God! I mean, there's nothing to it.
There's nothing to it.
Versus
this is our part. Now there's usually bolts in there. I haven't put together yet, but
wow, big difference in that just in itself and the feel.
Yeah, very rigid part, no deflection like the stock part. So we make the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 forks for the 2018 and up transmissions. The 5, 6 forks are really interesting because they start out of an 8-inch round stock. Okay. The big piece. Yep. But we're only making a tiny little fork. But you got to have that much material
because you have all one piece
to make it all one piece.
Yep.
So they take a long time to make, but they work. They work great. So
I love hearing all this. So you're giving the side of like, so people can understand, like they see it, oh, it's just a little part. You don't understand when something was that big. That means it was one giant part to begin with. You have to hog all that out.
Right here. This fork started out of this. So
guys, look at that. Look at, just to give you perspective, and you can see from the side here. So all this becomes this. That is the amount of time that takes, and again, that is tool wear. That's time. Time is money. The biggest thing. Parts, having something that wears out is one thing, but the amount of time, and that's where a machine like this is nice. The faster you can get it done, the better.
Yeah, all the rest of that goes in the scrap barrel. So
yeah,
and then these are our 8-inch rounds for our 5, 6 forks.
So guys, perspective. There's my hand. So you guys just get an idea of how much material has to be hogged out to get this done.
Yep. And this is bronze for our shift pads for our 11-17 transmissions. Okay. So we make all those in-house as well. I got a big bin of them over there if you want to see it.
Yeah, I want to go ahead there. What is it now? This is the
finished product, our shift pads that go into our 11-17 transmissions.
And that's definitely going above and beyond.
Yeah.
Now, just little things I need to ask, and again, so people understand. So that's factory.
Yep.
What are these grooves for? Again,
that's oiling.
Okay, so that is for actual oiling.
Yep.
Now, factory does not have that then? So again, I want to make sure things are gone over that what makes you different, the little extras that you do. Just like you said, the reason you don't use a brass pad on that or something to hold it.
Exactly, that's the Teflon pads that would be on the
so it's just Teflon too on top of it?
Yep, so.
Wow. Yeah. This is the stuff that intrigues me. I love the machining side of things, and I love anything that has to do with metal. Now these are all spare parts, and then.
A lot of new parts here, and for building trans.
So where, I guess, while we're looking at all this stuff, where's the next step for you? What do you want to do? I know manual transmissions obviously is your thing. Is there other manuals you want to get into the German stuff? Because I mean, let's be honest, BMW sells everything with a manual.
I think the next step is going to be mainly covering a lot of the automatic stuff. We do build a lot of 6R80s now, just for local people and stuff like that, but I'd like to get more into that spectrum just to add another line of what we can do and that kind of thing.
I mean, that would be nice because, I mean, I do both. Well, obviously, I have a T56, but I have an A80. 6R80's become real big with us now. Everyone makes an adapter for those.
Yeah.
I would love to see more of that.
Yeah.
So this is a Cummins 3160 then?
Tremec.
Tremec, sorry, my ignorance there. Tremec 3160 and it's a cutout like that. Is this brand new?
So it's just a cutaway trans we take to like events and shit like that.
But it looked like it was a brand new transmission you just cut up, which is crazy.
Pretty much, yeah. We have a bunch of cores with these. We have a gear kit coming for these right now that will replace third and fourth gear with billet gears.
Okay.
A lot more aggressive than what the factory tooth pattern is. This is third gear right here.
Okay, so that's...
we're going to try to make these a little bit more robust.
Now, it seems like every manual has a problem getting fluid to the front, right? Once you're especially have acceleration, again, us super guys have a problem that we can never get up front because we're roll racing. That's just what we're known for. And then they have problems. So which gears are up front then? I guess that's...
So this 3160s, the track pack cars and the Mach 1s and the Dark Horses all come with a cooler.
Okay.
Now the early GT350s in 2016, some of them didn't have the track package and they didn't have a trans cooler. So they're very, very notorious for burning up the front headset area of the transmission. There's a thrust bearing in between here that burns up, and then it just wreaks havoc on everything because your shafts go out of alignment and it tears up a lot of the other gears as well. So then on the track pack cars that do have a pump in them, they actually suck the fluid. This isn't one of them. This is a non-track pack case. But there'd be a pickup tube that sits right in here.
Okay.
And it is designed to pull fluid back around. And they actually spray the fluid
the whole way around.
Well, they spray it in the rear of the case, right here.
Okay.
Actually, so this is a track pack rear tail, but it doesn't hit anything to really benefit anything in all reality.
It was kind of like...
It's only essentially a cooler. It circulates the fluid.
It kind of works like these aftermarket, well, you factor like a 2JZ for an engine-wise. You had factory oil squirters. It was just splashing. It wasn't working as well as it should to put it on the skirt. It's just literally throwing it there. It's supposed to help cool, but it's not help lubricating the way you want it to.
So what we're going to do is we're going to spray fluid in the front, and we're going to spray fluid back in the back on third and fourth gear in order to make sure that everything is fully lubricated under load, because we do see a lot of 3160s that stock form, they're just burned up. And guys a lot of times think that this is optimal swap because they hear the name Tremec, which Tremec builds a great transmission, but it's built specifically for light duty. It's made for high RPM shifts in a naturally aspirated GT350, Mach 1, or a Dark Horse. They're very compact, they're very light.
And I see the remote mount shifted also versus...
the remote mount shifted as well. But when people say, hey, I bought a 3160, I want to ditch the MT82, I want to put this Tremec in there because this Tremec, it's better. They don't hold that much power. They just don't. Your MT82, our Stage 3 MT82 is a great transmission in comparison to one of these.
Wow.
Even our Stage 2.
And see, again, from my standpoint, I hear Tremec, oh, that's got to be better. It's got to be better.
I mean, it's just the nature of the thing. It's designed for a specific application. It works great in that application, but putting it way past where it was designed for, it doesn't work out very well.
It makes perfect sense. So this is your bread and butter. This is the one, I would say, like, this is like your firstborn child. You're so proud. Everything they're doing here. So what do we have here?
This is a Stage 3 D4 for 2019 and up Mustang. What denotes that is in 2019 is it does have the digital sensor for all your gear indication on the dash, reverse light switch, and that kind of thing. And what a lot of guys don't realize is that swapping T56 Magnum XL in, you do lose some things. I mean, yes, the car can be re-flashed to an older strategy to eliminate that stuff, but you still have to wire in reverse lights and that kind of thing. With this is a direct swap, so whether you have an 18 or a 24, whatever, this transmission will bolt right back up. It has our billet gear set in it. It has our billet steel shift works in it, so you have your 1-2 shift work, your 5-6, and your 3-4. These are billet gears in here. You can see how beefy everything is.
I mean, those are huge.
Yeah. So it's a tremendously strong transmission.
It's just out of the box from Ford. It's just very lackluster. At least that's what it seems like.
Not bad. It's really the forks that are the main, one of the main failures in them, I would say. And that's only when you're really starting to beat on things. You know, they did make a lot of revisions in the forks throughout from 2018 to present day to try to make them stronger, the cast aluminum ones.
Sure.
But they still fail.
Of course.
They're better now, but they're not bulletproof.
Sure.
So I would say that, you know, these things here, they just shift great. We use all carbon fiber synchros on them, as we do on pretty much all of our transmissions.
I'm going to go into that too, because again, I'm like a child when it comes to this stuff. I don't know. So carbon versus what is normality versus what isn't, and I'm going to go back. So again, Toyota stuff. So again, excuse my ignorance. For us, we have the old truck transmission called an R154, which reverse didn't even have synchros.
Yeah.
So you always had to go to first, then the reverse. Like there wasn't even, if your dead stop going, it would grind. So everything now is triple synchro. Even reverse is. But what is the difference in synchro material? Why single, double, triple? And just go into it talking to me like I'm a dummy here. We'll go if that's okay.
We'll have to go over here and share some stuff.
Sure, absolutely. All right, so what do you have here, Ben?
All right, so these are factory centered bronze synchronizer rings. They would come in either a Tremec or a gut drag or most any manual transmission. This is a triple cone setup, and it just goes on the gear, and that's what, when you're engaging your gears, this is the brake, I guess you could call it. It slows or picks your gear up to speed for whichever gear change you're doing. And then we install full face carbon fiber synchros. And it makes a big difference in the amount of stopping power or grip that you have in the synchronizers versus the centered bronze. So it allows a lot easier high RPM shifts, more consistent high RPM shifts, less chance of missing a gear, less chance of grinding a gear.
Which is a big deal.
That kind of thing. So, and then this would be like a double cone setup here, where you have a steel in here instead of a actual cone that goes over top like that.
Okay. Now this also, I'd assume, makes the lifespan of it a little bit longer, or?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how you drive it, the carbon fiber synchros last a long time. You know, now if you have a bad clutch, it's very easy to take a carbon fiber synchronizer out because they do get hot faster than what a centered bronze synchronizer does, it seems like. So if you get them overheated, you can risk the chance of delaminating the carbon fiber off of the ring, and that will cause it to grind, you know, damage the synchronizer, that kind of thing.
Now, when you say bad clutch, what would you say would cause that? When you say bad clutch, dragging of the clutch almost? Is that I was thinking more install error for that, but what would you say bad clutch?
It could be install error, or it could be just a wore out clutch or a new clutch out of the box that was something wrong with it. You know, if the clutch is dragging, it puts a lot of excess stress on the synchronizers in the transmission.
Sure.
And it can happen very quick if the clutch is dragging, where you completely wipe the synchronizers right back out of the transmission. You shouldn't have huge resistance when you're putting your transmission into gear. Gear changes should be smooth. You shouldn't have to put really hard effort into your shifter in order to change the next gear. But if your clutch is working improperly and it's just tight, doesn't want to come out of gear, like it gets hung in a gear, say you're trying to go from first to second and it's stuck in first, or second to third, it doesn't want to come out to go into third, you've got a clutch issue.
Sure.
And 99% of the time, checking the clutch, pulling it out, seeing what's going on with it, or that kind of deal will fix a lot of those issues. It could even be in a hydraulic system, improperly bled slave cylinder will cause a lot of issues. Some guys don't realize that, especially with the Mustangs, they don't have an actual bleeder in the line from the factory like the GM cars and such do.
Okay.
So one thing that's very important for the Mustang guys is on anything from 05 to present day is if you're installing a new slave cylinder or you've had the transmission out, make sure that you bench bleed the slave cylinder. And when I say bench bleed the slave cylinder,
Yep.
I mean put the end of it in there in a cup of brake fluid and pump the shit out of it until you get all the air bubbles out of it or any debris that might be in it. If you put a brand new slave cylinder in that car completely dry, good luck.
Really?
I mean, it's really a struggle to get the air out of it.
Yep.
And you almost end up, in the long run, if you can't get it out with a mighty vac by pulling vacuum through the reservoir, pull trans,
Yep.
you know, and start over.
We same issue. Every time we get a new Tilton, bench bleed it, put it up there, and you'd be blown away. Well, I know you're not,
Yeah.
but these guys behind the camera here, you'd be blown away how much air is in there. You're like, oh my God.
And then you'll even see like fine manufacturing debris, and
Yep.
not to say anything bad, but it's nice to get it out of there.
Sure.
You know, while you got a chance. So that makes a big difference as far as that goes.
All right, so we got two different plates here.
Yep.
Let's show the difference.
Okay, so this is a stock plate from a T56 Magnum. As you can see down in here, they're cast as they would have a pump. Like the factory transmissions, 60s, 60s and such, that have a PTO driven pump to move oil through the transmission, circulate it, keep it cool. So what we do is we take one of these stock plates and we machine it in order to put the PTO driven pump in there. There'll be a pickup tube that goes in this side that pulls the fluid from the back of the transmission. The pump will run, suck it around, and we run a line around the transmission to spray it back in the front.
Wow.
That way it keeps from starving the front end of the transmission for
So
fluid.
no need for an external pump.
No need for an external pump.
I need you guys to hear that. No need for an external pump, because I've seen all the kits and they always have a big external. You got to mount it somewhere too. That is a game changer for me. And those are limitations. You still need an external eventually. Is that supposed to be, that's it, you're done? If you still have issues, that's still, you got a mechanical issue at the end of the day. There's limitations to anything.
Run mid-sevens with that setup.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
I mean, we're good.
And that's the kind of stuff that, this is the things I want you guys to hear about, because we hear so much bad information. I want this video to be, you know, something that shows everyone there's good information out there, and you don't need some of these crazy setups. And I'm not saying this isn't crazy, because it's a lot of machine work, but it's simplistic, the fact that you don't need this big external pump. You don't need this stuff. You just need what was done right, not something that's over the top.
Yes, I mean, it's a great application. You don't have to run a bunch of extra crazy lines, wiring, rely on a hob switch if your pump's running off of that, you know, it may not come on. This works all the time. It's always, you know, spraying the fluid right where it needs to be. It's the best option in our opinion.
This is a big game changer. I want to make sure, guys, this is something you guys got to check out. Now, one thing I want to say too, like while we're already going over this, you have your website, right? Calimer Transmission. If someone said they want to reach out to you or they have questions, you prefer email or what's the best way to contact?
Email or call is great. You know, we have on our website we have our email address, sales@calimertransmissions.com. Pretty much goes out to all of us. You know, we see it. If you have a question or anything like that, you can actually chat from our website as well, or just give us a call.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. All right, guys, I kind of cut that short there. Talking with Ben, that was great. I mean, just so much information there. Now I already know, Brian, it seemed like he's a Mustang guy, which he is, but they do a lot of stuff with Tremec too. I mean, you can see there, and it all really correlates. And I want to just go over what it's like to build these transmissions, or what it is, the good, bad, or the ugly with the manual transmission. It's good to talk to them. That fluid, like the built-in like fluid pump, is something I really want to see. I talked to Ben also about my transmission. It might actually have bad synchros. I get this like at low speed, like a clunk, like it almost feels like it's kicking back on the shifter. He said it's usually a sign of worn out shifter forks, or not shifter forks, but of synchro. So I'm hoping it's nothing too bad. Again, the car's making some good power. So the transmissions are rated for 700 foot-pounds. That being said, we know at the V160, we've been beating on those for years, making crazy power, and they were able to handle it. So I'm hoping that this is okay. Now, everything for Ben, guys, I've already listed there a couple times. I'll list it one more time here. He is open to some new ideas like the automatic. I would love to find out if we can get someone with the V160, send it to him, if there's stuff we can get remade. You know, you can see he's making a lot of that stuff in-house. So if we need shift forks, or we need things of this nature, this is something he could possibly make for us. I'd love to see gear sets, you know, those synchros he have made. He gets those all made for his transmission. So if we're looking for synchros, anything of that nature, maybe we finally have a good solution right here in the USA. And the best part is, for me, even though I don't have a V160, it's nice for the T56 side of it, he's not even 10 10 minutes from my house. He's like 5 minutes from my house. It's amazing that his shop's that close. So we might have something that is close and we can all work together to have something better for the community. So that's why I wanted to talk to Ben. I'm most likely to be taking my transmission to him, take it apart, just give it a good look over. I've had this transmission since 2019 now, I believe. And it's got some good miles on it. I think I'm around 10,000 now, maybe 8 to 10, and they're hard miles. So, you know, the transmissions, I think the limit he told me was 7,800 RPM is the limit for the trans, and they're rated for 700 foot-pounds. So definitely past that on both items. We're going to 8,500 to 9,000, shifting hard, and that might be hard on it. And he might be able to explain in the video, like, here, this is what's happening, how can we alleviate it? Again, with the carbon synchros, different shift forks, this, that, or the other. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in today. I deeply appreciate everything, Ben, and I'm hoping to be out there soon. If you guys, again, need anything else, check it out down below, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.